Your rent is going up and your food is shrinking and your future is being decided in rooms where only Atiku, Peter Obi and Bola Ahmed Tinubu sit, and you cannot enter and you cannot even hear what they say. The coalition that people keep talking about is made up of men like Atiku and Tinubu and others who have been in power forever and who only care about themselves and their wealth and not about Nigeria, and they are planning things quietly that the public will never know. Peter Obi moves quietly, controlled and calculated, and the North is watching him and studying him and noticing how his frugality shows restraint and humility and simplicity that the people admire. But most of the ordinary Northerners do not know him yet, and some of the stories they hear are wrong and misleading, and he has to fix that before he can actually get their support. Tinubu is observing all of this and calculating every move and relying on his incumbency and the control of the electoral system, the way his allies manage the vote counting and the narratives and the projections, and the ordinary people cannot see all of it, but it is happening and it will decide everything unless the citizens act. Atiku is quietly preparing to consolidate support in the North, and he is using the network that he has. Atiku is quietly preparing to consolidate support in the North, and he is using the network that have existed for decades and whispering message that the public never sees, and trying to convince millions in Kano and other states that Tinubu is against them. And whether it is true or not does not matter, because the belief is already enough to sway votes, and if the narrative holds it, and it will be dangerous for Tinubu. Peter Obi has the quality that people admire, and yes, he is disciplined and frugal and humble, but insiders keep saying he is not yet embedded in the system, and most ordinary Northerners do not really know him yet, and the information they receive is often manipulated and misleading. And no, I am not exaggerating. This is exactly what is happening, and it is why admiration alone cannot win him the votes he needs. The problem is that why Obi walks among people like one of them and greets them simply humbly, the story being fed to the street suggests he is disconnected, or worse, that he will bring back old conflict. And some people even laugh at ridiculous accusations like him being responsible for events long before he was involved in. And yes, that is how misleading information works, and it can turn ordinary voters against him without them realizing it. Meanwhile, Tinubu is not panicking. He is observing and calculating and using his incumbency and the control of over institutions and the system itself to make sure outcomes lean in his favor. And many Nigerians will believe the election is already decided, but it is not about inevitability. It is about strategy. It is about who holds the levers. And if citizens do not stand firm, even the best candidate cannot overcome the machinery, and that is exactly why preparation and mobilization are so important. Atiku is quietly positioning himself to the advantage of every weakness in Tinubu's reach, and insiders whisper about alliances forming under the surface about millions of voters in Kano and elsewhere who are being primed to believe he is their savior. And yes, these are not guessing. These are patterns that have been observed and modeled, and if the narrative sticks, Tinubu support will weaken in a way the public will not understand until it is too late. And the only way to counter it is if people remain alert, disciplined, and engaged even after the votes are cast. Let's see how we can get this right.